Good morning. Welcome to the First Religious Society, Unitarian Universalist in Newburyport, Massachusetts. My name is Stephen Will Foster, and I am delighted to be your worship associate this morning. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. We are glad that you are here. We come together at FRS online and in person, committed to love, peace, and justice. Our mission and our invitation to all of you is come as you are. Journey together in love. Act with courage and transform our world. Worshiping online and through Zoom, if you would like to access this morning's order of service, please click on the link shared in the chat. Whoa. Thank you. And it is good to be together.
Good morning. I am FRS Affiliate Minister, Reverend Jane Toohey. I will be standing in for Reverend Rebecca through the month of July. Reverend Rebecca is on a very well-deserved vacation and study break. And today is the first of 4 in a series of programs that we are calling Languages of the Soul. So we are delighted to have you here, and it is my very great pleasure to welcome back Sushmita Mukherjee, the Reverend Dr. Sushmita Mukherjee, who first joined us in May of 2021, when she led a wonderful service based on Kali, the Hindu goddess. For those of you who have not met Sushmita before, she is truly a border crosser. That is to say, she is a scientist, a researcher, a teacher, an academic dean, a spiritual director, and an artist. She serves as the co-director of the Center for Imaging at the Weill School of Medicine, Cornell University in New York City, as well as being the academic dean at the One Spirit Learning Alliance, both in New York City. This morning, Sushmita will invite us to join her at the interface of image, imagining, and creative innovation. We are so delighted to have you back. It is a great, great pleasure to have you with us again this morning, Sushmita. Now, please join us in our chalice lighting words as Stephen lights the chalice. The words can be found in your order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we live and share together. Each week, we also light 2 candles of peace representing 2 places on the earth we lift up and remember as sacred encounters with our world. There are untold numbers of places on earth that need peace. This week, we hold these 2 together close in the service and through the week ahead. After each candle is lit, I will invite you to respond by saying, peace, soul, shalom. Our first candle is lit for the people of Ukraine, who have now endured over 500 days of invasion, bombing, destruction of their lands, their communities, mass killings, and many atrocities. We pray that peace comes to them soon and also to the people of Russia. To this we respond,
Peace,
soul, shalom. Our second candle this morning is lit for our neighbors to the north in Canada, where fires are still burning. Over 20 million acres of land have now been scorched by fires. We pray that we all will have the energy, the will, the determination to do what we can to address climate change. To this we respond, peace, soul, shalom. Okay. Sorry, I lost my place there for a second. Thank you. Please join us now in singing our opening hymn, number 92, Mysterious Presence, Source of All. The lyrics will be on the screen.
Mysterious presence, source of all, the world without, the soul within, thou fount of life, oh, hear our call, and pour thy living waters in. Thou breathest in the rushing wind, thy spirit stirs in leaf and flower, nor wilt thou from the willing mind withhold thy light and love and power. Thy hand unseen to accents clear awoke the psalmist's trembling lyre, and touched the lips of holy seer with flame from thine own altar fire. That touch divine again impart, still give the prophet's burning word, and vocal in each waiting heart, let living psalms of praise be heard.
And on the screen. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace,
to
to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
From all that dwell below the sun, love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung through every land by every tongue.
The generosity of our community is an essential ministry. It supports the work of our church both in Newburyport and beyond. Each week, 50% of the Sunday offering not designated as a pledge goes to a local community partner engaged in important efforts to transform our region. The July shared collection goes to support Community Action, Inc. Community Action, Inc. provides resources and opportunities for individuals, for families, and communities to overcome poverty. Programs include adult education, care for children, food, clothing, fuel and energy, and housing. CAI envisions strong, thriving communities free of poverty. Their programs serve Amesbury, Boxford, Georgetown, Groveland, Haverhill, Merrimac, Newbury, Newburyport, Rowley, Salisbury, and West Newbury. In order to give online, please use the link in your order of service. The link will also be shared in the chat as the music plays. You can also make a contribution by text, and of course, you can always mail a check to our church. Thank you. The offering will now be gratefully received.
Thank you, Justin. Each week, we lift up the joys and sorrows of our beloved faith community. Tom Himmel, our pastoral care associate, will light candles this morning. If you would like to share a joy or sorrow to be read in the service, you can always send an email to betweenus@frsuu.org or write in the book, which is located in the vestibule. We have not received specific requests for prayers, joys and sorrows this morning, but I would offer two simple ones. First, I offer a joy, light a candle of sorrow and concern and love for members of this beloved community who this past winter and spring lost beloveds and now are entering their first summer without them. May they be comforted. May they feel the love of this community enfold them. I also offer a light a candle of joy for the members of the staff of FRS who are on vacation and getting a very, very much needed break from all they do every week for all of us. So may their summer vacations, and for all who are taking vacation now, be restorative and renewing. May it be so.
May it be so.
May it be so. So, summertime and the living is easy. So wrote Gershwin and Hayward. And it is my prayer this morning that for each of you may know ease or greater ease this summer. May the simple pleasures of summer be yours. Longer days, lingering lights, perhaps meals outdoors, fireflies, time to be with friends, time to be with beloveds, and time to be with yourself. And may each of us also carve out the time to spend some time in silence, that we may listen deeply and hear the voices of our own hearts. May it be so. Amen.
And now I'd like to offer a reading according to Carl Gustav Jung. Faith, hope, love, and insight are the highest achievements of human effort. They are found, they are given by our own human experience and perception. Christians often ask why God does not speak to them, as he is believed to have done in former days, says Jung. When I hear such questions, it always makes me think of the rabbi who asked how it could be that God showed himself often to a people in the olden days, whereas nowadays nobody ever sees God. The rabbi replied, well, nowadays there's no longer anybody who can bow low enough. This answer hits the nail on the head, says Jung. We're so captivated by and entangled in our own subjective conscious awareness that we have forgotten the age-old fact that God speaks chiefly through dreams and visions. Now, it may be that the Buddhist discards the world of unconscious fantasies as useless illusions, and the Christians may put church and Bible between himself and the unconscious. And the rational intellectual does not yet know that consciousness, that conscious life is not the total psyche. Wisdom arrives from heartscapes beyond our familiar conscious thinking.
What a wonderful introduction and lead in for you, Sushmita. Please take us there.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Beautiful, beautiful morning as of now. And thank you, Stephen, so much for reading that piece from Jung, because it sets up the whole thing perfectly. What I'm going to do first is I am going to go to gallery view because I don't want to see myself on the screen. Okay, now we are good. And if people feel up to it, they can also turn their cameras on because it's nice to see each other. But if you don't want to, that's totally fine. So today, our intention is to sit with images for a little while. And for me personally, images have been my portal to divinity for a very, very long time. And what Stephen read from Jung kind of really summarizes what the image does, because as Stephen was saying, Carl Jung, who's kind of, well, I'll say he's my teacher. He's also somebody that I fight with constantly. So it's an interesting relationship I have with Papa Jung. But be that as it may, one of his really beautiful ideas is how one way to sort of think about our consciousness, our sort of our daily experience of ourselves. Jung would say it's like we're like a chunk floating on top of an ocean of unconsciousness. So unconscious is much, much, much larger than what I think of as my consciousness. And my ego, my sense of I, is the center of that consciousness. So everything that I think that is I, that is me, is actually a minuscule section of the entire psyche. At one time, actually, more than one time, Jung wrote that one way to maybe feel into the immensity of the unconscious is to think that it's not that I have a psyche, but psyche has me. I'm immersed in psyche. The psyche is the ocean and I'm floating in there somewhere. So the problem is that when I'm in my conscious day-to-day state, my sense of the limits of who I am is very, very, very small. But underneath that is this ocean of unconscious, and Jung would claim that there is a collective unconscious through which we are all connected. And we draw from the same imagery, the same instincts that in some ways we have inherited. We are not born tabula rasa, as he would say. We're not born without any imprint of what it is to be human. And images do this really beautiful job of connecting our conscious sense of self with these underlying layers of the unconscious. And that's where also our sense of divinity lives. I mean, I can have all concepts of God in my head, but to really feel the divine, I have to drop down below and sort of dive into that ocean. And it's also important to remember while we're talking about this is that we don't want to dive so far in that our ego is completely immersed in the unconscious and stay there, because that's psychosis. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is sort of sitting at that interface where consciousness touches the unconscious. And it's as if, I mean, you can imagine that you're sitting by an ocean, or you're even better, the image of snorkeling. You're snorkeling and you have these beautiful beings that live in the deep waters that you can see coming up, and you can make contact and you can get to experience them. But you don't decide that I'm going to be a mermaid and I'm going to live with them forevermore. So it's really this dance of moving between the conscious and the unconscious. It's a dance. And the images allow us to do that, because one of the really beautiful thing about an image is an image never fully gives itself. In the sense that if you really have a beautiful image, like that snorkeling image, let's say, I mean, you can go snorkel on that same patch every day and you'll find something new. Or you'll see that same coral and you'll get a different experience of the coral depending on the light, depending on your mood, depending on what you ate for breakfast, all of it. So it's really the beauty of an image is that it can be, so in Jungian language, we would say we can circumambulate an image. So that's the difference between a Jungian approach of working with an image versus, let's say, a Freudian approach, where you would follow an associative chain and move away as the associative chain moves. But in the Jungian thought, if your image is at the center, what you're doing is you are circumambulating as if it's a temple, as if it's a labyrinth. And you're constantly coming back to that image and seeing, okay, if I look at it from this angle, what is it telling me? If I turn around and look from the back, is it telling me something different? If I move farther away, what am I seeing? If I come closer, what am I seeing? If I squint, what am I seeing? And again, what I see today, because of my life circumstances, might be very different than what I'll see tomorrow, a year from now, 10 years from now. And what I will see, having grown up in India, living in New York City, in a biracial marriage, will be very different than what somebody else will see. So one of the really nice things also about working with images is there is no correct or right way of seeing an image. It is your way. And at the same time, we are mining that collective unconscious that belongs to us all. So it's really that yes and place. And that's what we want to do today a little bit, just as an experience. And what I have decided to do for today is to use this approach that I love. It's called soul collage. And it was a technique that was developed by this woman called Sina Frost at the end of 1980s, really came about, and she started teaching in the 1990s. She first formally taught, this is also an interesting lesson for many of us, she first formally taught soul collage at the age of 71. So it's never too late. And so what soul collage is actually very simple. You have a small card. It's a 6x8 card is traditional in soul collage world, because one of the differences between soul collage and other forms of collaging or vision boarding is that you have a very limited space. It's not, according to Sina, each card should have one dominant energy. You don't want to put so much in a card that you don't know what's going on. And each of the cards is supposed to represent a part of your psyche, because in the Jungian way of understanding, we always say that the I that I know is just one among many. That is the ego voice. And ego is nothing bad. It's just my sense of I-ness. But there are many, many, many other voices in me. So the soul collage actually helps me kind of distill out those voices. So the simplest soul collage card is you have a background image, and the background image could be a place, it could be a piece of fabric. I even have soul collage cards where the background image is a pepperoni pizza. Works perfectly well. And then what you want to do as a foreground is, so again, using Sina's words, it's a beautiful phrase she used to use, which is you free the image from its surroundings. So let's say I have a car that I've cut out from something else. So the background of the car no longer exists. And now I take that car and paste it on top of the pizza. And then the last part, which is the most interesting part, and you can have more than one image. It doesn't have to be two, but you don't want to have more than one dominant energy in the card. And then you kind of sit with that card and you see, okay, what is this card telling me? Or what is the dominant energy in this card telling me? And then the last part, which is very hard for many people to do, actually, is to let that voice speak. I am not going to say, this car is telling me. The car is going to say, I am one who is made of metal. I am one who gets hot when the hot sun shines on me. I am the one who takes you from one place to another, and so on and so forth. So the main conversation we have, and you saw how that was a circumambulation, because we kept coming back to that central image, the car. And I am one who is sort of the traditional way of speaking from the voice in soul collage. So I am one who, or if there's a group of kids, for example, we are the ones who. So that's the main thing we do. After that, if you want to extend it further, you can do things like, and I am here today to tell you, again, remembering to speak from the voice of this entity on the card and not your own voice. And the other things we kind of sometimes do is like, this is my blessing for you, or this is what I'm here to tell you, and this is what I want from you, which sometimes is very, very useful to know. Like, what is this energy needing from me, which is my ego self, so that it can live its life within my psyche. So that's enough explanation. What we're going to do next is I had asked Jane and Stephen and Justin for some images of your church and your sanctuary. So I have taken some of these images and I have added some images from some of my soul collage cards on them. So I have 4 cards. So we have a short video, about 6 minutes, and you're going to see these 4 cards. And then again, I have the questions written out so you don't have to write them down. And it repeats a few times. My invitation to you is to pick one of the 4 cards as the card that you're going to work with, and pick one energy. And it's in general quite clear what the energy is. But again, you don't have to take the dominant image in the card. If you want, you can take a background image, like a clock or something. I don't know. Totally up to you. And see if that element in the card were to speak, what it would say to you. And the reason why we decided to do this, or I thought this could be a good idea, is you see this church, the sanctuary, every week or often enough. What happens if I bring a dissonant image on top of that? Do you see the space differently? Does something new come to you? That's the invitation. So we're going to run this video for about it's 6 minutes long. Once that is finished, and you can either write it down or think about it, it's totally up to you how you want to do it. Some people want to, if you want to turn off your camera and walk around, totally fine. I would say try not, because it's only 6 minutes, try not to go for all the cards, just pick one that speaks to you the strongest, and just have a few I am one who's. And then at the end of the video, we are going to have some shares where I will invite you to speak into the room about what the card in its own voice told you. And remember, there's no right or wrong. Nobody is being graded. So it's totally fine. Whatever is your truth. But the interesting thing is sometimes somebody else's truth can ping something in another person, because we are really dipping into that collective layer. So while there is no one truth, each person's truth sort of carries a part of my truth, is what I'm saying. So we'll do that, and I think that will be the end, and then we'll have a little activity at the end. So I think at this point, if there's any questions, let me know before we start the video. Is it clear? We'll have 4 images. They will be repeated one after another with the questions. And you will pick one image, one dominant figure in that image, and speak from its voice, starting with I am one who. And then we'll come back into the room. So Justin, you can start, yes. So welcome back. And it would be lovely to hear from some of you about what you got from those images. And if you can raise your remote hand from the reaction button at the bottom, that would be the easiest for us to call on you. Yes, go ahead, Stephen.
Thank you. Yeah, so I hear it saying, I am one who shows up every day. It is the first collage, and it is the picture that has the church in it, and then it has in the corner this bright orange, yellow, red, very different looking creature, a being that showed up. And she is saying, I am one who shows up every day to surprise you, to stun you even, to wake you up from your comfortableness.
Mm.
And I am here today to tell you, wake up. And this is my blessing for you, that you are called to wake up. May you hear it every day. And that is what I want from you.
And did I hear you correctly, Stephen, when you said she says?
Yes.
All right.
I saw
Just wanted to highlight that.
Yep.
That to you, it's a she. That's interesting in its own right.
Yeah, it
Thank
is.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful. I see Bettina's hand is up.
Yeah, they were beautiful, beautiful images, all of them. So thank you. And I also was drawn to the same one as Stephen was. And I heard that voice say, I am one who celebrates. So I love to hear your take on it, Stephen. Wake up. Because similarly, I heard, I am one who celebrates. And I think there's a window somewhere in that image. And open up, open those windows, open my body and get out in the world and live big is what I kind of got from that. But yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. See another hand up. It's probably Jane this time.
Yes.
All right.
So I chose the fourth image, which was a woman with her arm raised. And I chose that because she was, to me, represented a collective female presence that was joyous, powerful, and sensual. And also the way her image was juxtaposed as I saw it, she was up in the choir, right?
Mm-hmm.
That connects to our history. We will be celebrating our 300th anniversary in 2 years. There was a period of time when people of color only sat in the balcony. They were not.
Okay, Jane.
Yes.
How about speaking from her voice?
So, Phillips, thank you. Thank you. I am the whole, the entirety of a human. So I come here body, mind, heart, and soul, but body and heart are as welcome as mind and soul. And we are sensuous and joyful creatures, as well as people who serve. My blessing is, may we hold that balance and continue to shift to being heart-based as well as spirit-based.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I see Tom, your hand is up.
Yeah, I was struck by, and I'm not sure where it fits in the sequence, but the image that had the first of our tablets of past ministers on the wall, and there was also an image, and in that image was an eye looking outward, and the the voice, if you will, that came to me with that was, we are the ones who watch over you from the past.
Mm.
Not because they were ministers per se, or only in that sense, but as a visual link to the congregations in the past through the history of this church, and that sort of that continuity, that connection to the past is something that I always feel was part of what drew me to this church and continues to draw me.
Beautiful. Tom, can I ask you to speak in their language a blessing? This is our blessing for you. What might that sound like?
Our blessing for you is to see you in the chain of people who come before you and what they've striven for, not as perfect people, but as people who wanted to grow spiritually and in community.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I see Linda's hand is up.
Yes, I responded to the picture that had Yoda and also the organ and a picture of the clock. And I am one who is always searching for sources of wisdom. And to me, Yoda is a source of wisdom. I also think that time is a very mysterious thing that we don't truly understand.
And how might Yoda say this?
Yoda, I think, is trying to say to me, and to the rest of us, that wisdom, both from the past and from the present, you're surrounded by that. You're surrounded by wisdom, and that you're not alone. And there's something really beautiful about remembering the people from the past, but also knowing that their vision was only partially correct, if you can use that term, only just partial, let's just leave it that way. And that it's a part of what we need to do today to contribute to the collective wisdom.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. And we'll have the last share from Ray, and then I have a little instruction before we move on. Go ahead, Ray.
I was struck by the lower left corner of the third image, which showed the right eye and two dirty hands of a dark-skinned child looking, and the hands seemed to be holding on to bars as if this child was in a cage or some kind, or a cell, and looking out and saying, I am a child, I am one who is by definition innocent, and I am calling upon you to get me out of here.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And here is one from Beth, whose mic is not working. She's referring to the same image as Tom with the eye. And we are the ones who remind you to get centered and see more clearly. Oh, I see another hand. Let's take James. Go ahead. You're muted?
Yes, it was the image of the church interior with Yoda that spoke to me. The absence of windows, so a sense of confinement. And what came to me was how limits and confinement can be a source of creativity and working within limits. The Yoda figure was a statement of how a different being may appear without being frightening or challenging.
Mhm.
So the sense of confinement with the fern images, the clock for time, the organ as a sort of an airy image, not it's not solid in a sense. So those were things that came to me.
Thank you. And Justin, I see one more hand up. Should we take, or are we at time? We can? Okay. And Sid. I hope I said your name right.
Yes, you did. Thank you. I too chose this, I believe it was the third image with the young person and the big brown eye looking out between the bars. And right next to that in an angle was our beautiful church and its spire. And it's all light. And the other image was quite dark. And I thought of the spire, made me think of aspire, we aspire. And the young person was saying, you don't know what I aspire.
Mm. Would you speak from the voice of that kid? If the kid were to say, I am one who, what would that kid be aspiring to, you think? Or you feel?
I think that is the point of that the young person would say, I aspire as well.
Mm.
But I can't, other than freedom, there would be so many possibilities that I feel like I can't speak for that young person. And that's part of the message that I got, was that I don't know.
I am mute. I am one who is mute.
Yeah.
In this world that you have created.
Right.
How about that? All right, so we will close this portion, and what I would invite you to do is between now and the end to write one word or phrase in the chat that captures for you the experience of today. Just one word or phrase, and then I'll use that for the blessing at the end. So just put it in the chat.
Thank you, Sushmita.
All right.
Well, we're thinking about that. Now we're going to move to our, please join in singing our closing hymn, number 126, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. The lyrics will be on the screen.
Come thou fount of every blessing, tune our hearts to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our heart with joy and love, teach us ever to be faithful, may we still thy goodness prove. Come thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the lion and the young lamb dwell together in thy home. Hear the cries of war fall silent, feel our love glow like the sun. When we all serve one another, then our heaven is begun. Come thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to higher ways. Lift our gloom and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us bind ourselves in union. Help our hands to love our love. With thine aid, O fount of justice, earth be fair as heaven above.
Please join us in saying our unison benediction. The words are on your screen. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us, now and forever. And we'll leave it to Sushmita to say our final blessing.
You would have thought I know by now. Okay. Yes, so what I'm going to do is the final blessing is actually what you have offered each other. So I'm going to read out your words and phrases, and you can keep it coming even now as I'm reading, and let these words wash over you. These are the words that you have experienced today. And may you carry this as you go out into the week. So this is the blessing from your community to your community. Opening, celebrate, listen, connection, inspiration, curiosity, be aware, mystery, be curious, interconnection, safe and free to open beyond this sanctuary, explore, bound together across miles and time, beyond a human language, share our light with those in darkness, awaken, truth and love, holistic, empathy, embrace differences, non-judgmental, acceptance. That is your blessing to your community, from your community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sushmita. Thank you. And next week, we will continue exploring these portals and languages of the soul. And we will be looking again at images, but this time through a poetry-centered service, which our own Sid Rashke will be leading, looking at poems as paintings with words. We will continue with exploration, and thank you for leading us today, Sushmita. Go forward now in peace, everyone. Enjoy this July, summertime, special time, and come again with great joy.